Hi, good day. Givaudan Sense Color welcomes you to this introductory webinar on the replacement of artificial colors in foods and beverages. In today's talk, we will have an overview of what a food color is, what are the reasons both regulatory and market-based for the replacement of artificial colors, and review the pros and cons of artificial and naturally sourced colors. Finally, we will address the challenges and considerations involved in switching from artificial colors to natural ones in two common scenarios, as straight colors and as parts of a blend. Well, let's start with the definition of color additives and what we understand by artificial colors. Food color additives have general definitions established in regulatory frames that describe them as substances that are used to impart colors to foods and drinks. The Code of Federal Regulation states that color additives to be used in foods, drugs, or cosmetics may be derived from vegetable, animal, or mineral sources, or made through a process of synthesis. Until recent times, the FDA used the term artificial for any color added to a product that isn't inherent to it, like red beet juice in strawberry flavored milk, even if derived from a natural source. There is a recent shift from this lexicon where colors derived from nature or those that are naturally identical can be labeled as non-artificial according to the FDA. NatCol, the Natural Foods Color Association, in its position paper about the definition of the term natural color, states that artificial colors are those that are not present in nature, while the term synthetic refers to the method of manufacture that involves chemical synthesis, and which may include nature-identical pigments. These two words shouldn't then be used interchangeably. The scenario is even more complex for the term natural as applied to colors, because there is not a universal legal definition for it. Again, NatCol proposes a categorization method based on the processing of colors that are derived from natural sources. They propose to class color additives as natural or of natural origin, nature-derived, natural identical, and finally artificials. Strictly speaking, for the US, there are currently two types of color additives described in the Code of Federal Regulations. Colors exempt from certification, for which it is not necessary to have each batch tested and certified by the FDA, are derived from either plants, minerals, or animals, or are synthesized to be identical to pigments found in nature. On the other hand, we have colors subject to certification that are manufactured through organic synthesis from sources like petroleum. They are also known as FG&C colors, and each batch is required by law to be tested and certified by the FDA. During this presentation, we will refer to the replacement of FG&C colors, but the principles can be applied to other artificial colors permitted in countries other than the US. The fact is that humankind has been using coloring substances for ages, be it to dye textiles, for architectural decorations, in art, cosmetics, and of course foods and drinks. And the sources for these pigments were extracted from nature or obtained through the processing of natural substances. But about the mid-19th century, chemistry had advanced from a factual practice to a more structured discipline, and organic synthesis was advancing at a rapid pace. In that context, in 1856, a young chemist called William Henry Perkin was trying to synthesize quinine from aniline, that is a coal tar derived fraction. By pure serendipity, he obtained a purple substance that was eventually named and patented as Movein. And by the end of that century, there was an explosion of aniline-based dyes, and soon other synthesis routes were discovered that led to several man-made colors which were used for virtually anything. A handful of these artificial colors survived the passage of time and regulatory reassessments and are permitted up to the present day as food colors. Artificial colors are organic in nature, meaning that they are based on carbon chemistry, and while they were first obtained from coal tar, currently they are produced through petrochemical synthesis. They are classified according to their chemical nature as azo, xanthine, triphenylethane, and indigo dyes. On April 22 of 2025, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services announced a series of new measures to phase out all petroleum-based dyes from the nation's food supply. There is no legislation that has banned FD&C colors yet, and the approvals of the majority of these colors will remain. However, this announcement can be considered a move toward more restrictions on artificials. But why are we talking about substitutions and even bans? Well, globally, there has been an increasing interest to remove some of the approved artificial colors from food products. In part, this is driven by consumer pressure, and some other times there are science-based grounds that also lead to the search for alternatives. Note that drivers for change do not necessarily involve a ban. Sometimes the goal is a requirement for warning labels or more transparency for the consumer, but many times it just makes sense commercially, because naturalness is more attractive. Using natural sources of colors is often good for the business, when well communicated, and those that are able to adapt to the desires of consumers will survive and win. After the discovery of synthesis routes for artificial dyes, this became prevalent in the industry, and the use of the well-known natural sources became a curiosity. One of the earliest drivers for resurgence of the natural coloring substances for foods and drinks was a study published in 2007 in The Lancet, the famous and controversial Southampton study by McCann and collaborators. In this study, researchers found an effect on the concentration and activity levels of school children that were given drinks colored with 6 artificial dyes, plus the preservative sodium benzoate. This led first to a guidance from the UK's Food Standards Agency to alert parents of children showing symptoms of ADHD and suggest avoiding foods containing these color additives. Later on, it led to the institution of a compulsory warning at the EU level to be printed in all food labels if these colors were present. The warning stated that, and I quote, may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. Now let's weigh up some technical and commercial factors that affect the conversion. A reasonable reaction when faced with the challenge to switch from artificial to natural color sources is resistance. Artificial colors are in general easy to use, stable, and have good color yield. Additionally, there is scientific consensus on their safety, as their assessment is grounded on the weight of evidence. They are rigorously tested. The AGI levels consider actual exposure and apply ample safety factors, and are routinely retested as new evidence or better testing methods arise. With regards to the Southampton study, it is not considered an extremely robust study, and authorities like EFSA have stated that it provides limited evidence for a correlation. It does not establish a causal relationship, and it lacks a dose-response assessment. Furthermore, they use mixtures of colors with sodium benzoate instead of single additives. And finally, the results could be relevant only for sensitive individuals, not necessarily applicable to the whole population. On the other hand, we have natural source colors that have consumer-friendly labels, are in general well perceived by the public opinion, and are subjected to the same safety assessments as any other food additive. Additionally, many colors derived from nature have an inherent health halo that is increasingly known by the general public, contrasting with the poor reputation of artificial colors. There is somehow a misconception in which natural colors are perceived as less vibrant, but actually we have very vibrant and attractive natural colors. And there is also the perception of low stability. That again is a statement with lots of nuances. And as you will learn across these webinars, they are perfectly suitable to match the vibrancy and functionality needed across applications. Objections to the use of natural colors may include issues like the seasonality and variability of their natural sources that can have effects on prices and availability. There is a lack of regulatory harmonization, which hinders global trade, but well, that also affects synthetic colors and some other additives. There could be logistic barriers because of perishability and limited shelf life of the raw materials and color formulations, but this should not differ that much from other agricultural food ingredients. It is, frankly, difficult to match the cost in use of artificial colors. On the contrary, we have several very positive things to say about natural colors. They come from renewable sources, which in the current scenario is good for the economy and for the planet. Besides, artificial colors prices are heavily affected by fluctuations of oil price. Impressive advances in the use of fermentation technologies to produce natural pigments represent a significant improvement in their environmental footprint. There are also important advances in agricultural practice that allow for more productivity and an increased pigment yield. We have the opportunity to leverage a scale economy because as the demand grows, the natural colors industry will have lower costs and will be able to offer better prices. While cost in use can't be compared to artificial, they shouldn't be a significant impact in unit price or margins, because the rate of use is still very low, normally below 1%. We have advanced a lot in formulation science. We know about pigments chemistry and processing stability. And nowadays we can achieve the functionality needed across all applications. And natural colors are also a great opportunity to move away from commoditization and add value to foods and drinks with a transparency that attracts consumers and wins their trust and loyalty. A recent survey conducted by Givaudan included 1,507 adult U.S. residents self-identified as consumers of refreshment beverages, candies, salty snacks, baked goods, and refrigerated or frozen dairy. This survey showed that while flavor, price, and brand are the major drivers for purchase of foods and drinks, desire or preference for natural colors is strong across all categories. It also showed that between 18 to 30% of consumers across the 5 focus categories only want natural colors. Across all categories, 49 to 54% of consumers would expect both a healthier product and a cleaner ingredient list if a product switched to natural colors. And across all categories, a consistent 50% of consumers say that a switch to natural colors will have a greater impact on their purchase likelihood. It is important to note that while the color of a product and its naturality were not ranked high in the list of purchase drivers, it functions as a reinforcing cue for taste and brand identity, and it is very likely that it plays a subconscious role in preference and liking due to the emotional connection that colors ignite. Well, there are two common scenarios of artificial color substitution. Let's begin with their use as straight colors. Sometimes you use a single artificial color in your product and would like to replace it and match the appearance. In fact, sometimes artificial colors are used as is in renowned brands and they become part of their signature, their identity. Your expectations for this change could include factors like getting a very close shade, or at least as close as possible. You also expect good stability and process functionality. You'll expect, of course, smooth logistics, reasonable shelf life, and very likely the lowest possible cost of use. Here we can see 3 examples of FG&C replacement exercises in common food categories that pose different processing challenges. Starting with red 40, one of the most popular red colors used in the industry. It has a characteristic neutral red shade and has very good heat, acid, and light stability. Therefore, the solution to choose depends on the process conditions and the pH of the application. For lower pH applications like these boiled candies, we can use anthocyanin sources rich in pelargonidine, like radish or our Vegebrite strawberry red. Or we can opt for the more expensive and non-kosher option of blends of carmine and carminic acid. These solutions are heat stable and very good matches for this application. But if we move to a neutral pH, anthocyanins won't be an option because they shift their color towards purplish shades. We could use beetroot red shaded with some source of yellow, but then we will compromise heat stability. Carmine blends with a yellow pigment continue to be an option, but it won't be suitable for kosher certification or for vegan diets. Some carotenoid suspensions like lycopene or beta-carotene could give us an orangey red color, but these solutions won't work in a system that has any significant amount of fat in it. FD&C yellow number 5, here applied in its lake form in buttercream's frostings, is also a very popular color in drinks and foods, vibrant and very stable. The closest match hue-wise is curcumin or turmeric color resin, very bright and neon-like as well, and with a superb heat stability. Its major limitation is light sensitivity, so packaging design is something to be addressed. Carotenoids like beta-carotene are also acceptable replacements. They have better light stability, and the addition of antioxidants assists in boosting their performance. In a similar approach, the use of vegetable juices like our Vegebrite cannery that is obtained from carrots and pumpkins will have a similar performance to carotenoid emulsions. Other technically suitable solutions may include pigments like yellow gardenia or safflower extract, but these are not listed as approved colors in the US. They could be used, nevertheless, for other global markets. Finally, we have blue number 1. This stunning shade of blue is popular as a straight color in soft drinks, mainly used in fantasy and berries-inspired flavors. Until recently, it was a very hard color to replace in acidic systems. Phycocyanins from spirulina, albeit very similar in hue, are better suited for mild pH levels between 4.5 and 6.5. Their stability in acidic media is poor, tending to precipitate, losing color, and shifting to a turquoise shade with time. Our Everzure Garderia Blue was recently approved to be used in foods and drinks in the US and received positive opinions from EFSA for its potential use in Europe. This color, which has a form of acid-stable phycocyanin, permits its use in a more ample range of applications, where heat treatments are strictly controlled and light exposure is limited. Gardenia Blue and Jaguar Geniepine Glycine are other blue colors with good pH and thermal stability, but with an indigo shade, very different from the blue number 1 target. So, the takeaway message for this scenario of replacement of straight artificial colors is that we have plenty of options for the intended purpose, but they are not universal solutions, and their selection has to be assessed on a case-by-case basis. All of which, of course, is part of our expertise and service commitment. Now let's see the other face of the coin, the scenario where artificial colors are used in blends, very much like primary colors in art. And this is, in our experience, the most common case. Many of you have a fixed toolbox of basic artificial colors, blues, yellows, and reds, that you use to get intermediate shades for a target color or flavor identity. Tartrazine or yellow number 5 and sunset yellow or yellow number 6 are very often blended to get profiles like butter, custard, egg yolk, vanilla, or cheese. Blue number 1 is blended with a source of yellow to get greens. And red 40 is blended with blues to get berry colors or purple. But what if instead of a blend of a warm and a cool yellow to get the butter profile, you could use a single color like a beta-carotene emulsion? Or if you need a berry color, you could go for one of the diverse range that anthocyanin sources offer. In this scenario of substitution of artificials used as blends, you have some basic expectations. You may want the final color to be a match, but you may also consider alternatives that are equally or better reminiscence of the flavor profile. You, of course, will want stability and functionality, and mainly, you will want some flexibility to use the solution or solutions in other projects, even across categories. In this case, the exercise becomes one of inventory optimization. Let's see this new set of examples. Purple colors that are obtained with blends of red number 40 and blue number 1 tend to be a bit dull, matching a grape or blackberry profile. Depending on the final application, similar effects can be achieved. Like, for instance, in drinks of low pH, the source of red can be an anthocyanin like our Amaze Red and Amaze Orange Red, and the blue will be our Everzure Garderia. Brighter and sharper violets that are normally not easy to get with red number 40 because of its orangey tint are perfectly feasible with anthocyanin sources like black carrot or purple sweet potato, which have more bluish undertones. Intermediate shades of yellow obtained with blends of yellow number 6 and yellow number 5, like this example of ice cream that could inspire flavors like mango or passion fruit, can be obtained with blends of turmeric oil resin and annatto extracts, or with straight carotenoid emulsions. Here are two examples. M-seal beta-carotene, and M-seal lutein. The latter is not approved in the US, but is used in many other regions. Shades of green of all sorts are obtained with blends of blue number 1 and any of the existing artificial yellows. Here we have created a bright green blend of blue number 1 and yellow number 5 and matched it with a blend of safflower extract and spirulina, which will be allowed in Europe and some countries in Asia, a second option made with Everzure spirulina and turmeric color resin or curcumin, and a third option color with our Verifill copper color filling, also permitted in several countries other than the US. Now, let us wrap it all up with the main factors to consider when approaching a project on artificial colors replacement. When faced with an artificial replacement project, it is important to understand your priorities and the ability to compromise on certain demands. We are here to guide you to get deep insights into the rank of your preferences. Do you really want to match straight artificial colors? Or maybe you need a new flexible color toolbox for blends. We will have deep conversations not only about the technical details of your brief, but also about the need to exactly match an existing hue or to suggest a sensory cue for flavor or emotional profile through the use of color. The opportunities for inventory rationalization, the analysis of cost in use and impact on unit price, and also consumer perception and added value. As with any food design project, we must have a complete understanding of the technical details of your requirement. That includes knowing the intrinsic colors of your ingredients and how they may affect the end result. We also must have in mind how blends of natural colors may or may not be necessary to match a color. Finally, we will need to address stressors like heat and light exposure to consider mitigation strategies that may include things like color overdosing, changing the point of addition, or opting for opaque wrappings. Remember, all things considered, processing, matrix, regulations, packaging, and expectations in cost in use, you need to understand that natural alternatives often won't be a one-to-one universal replacement. If you are looking to replace an artificial color used at a certain dose, the same solution won't necessarily be proportionally scalable in terms of usage rate. Due to effects like color saturation, light scattering, and polychromatism, we will need to reassess the natural solution selected and its dosage. It is important to understand if we are in a straight color replacement scenario or if you will benefit from a new simplified color set for blends. Sometimes the same natural color can be used to replace two or more formulas that use artificials. As an example, one color at different usage rates can match two synthetic blends. Always consider process conditions and envision applicability across other fruit categories. Changes in formulation and process parameters may require reassessing or even changing the natural color selection, for example, pH, packaging, etc. And always keep focus on the consumer experience, which is ultimately our joint goal. Make sure to watch our other published webinars to understand how these replacements look in real-life applications and all the technical factors that are involved in the particular challenges of the industries of your interest. Many thanks for your attention and goodbye.